What phase of the hybridization program are we currently in?
The phase is at its end. The next generation of hybrids will be hybrids that are born on Earth.
And do we know when that will happen?
Within 1.5 years of time. It could be 15 or 20 or 30 years.
Do you know how many children specifically I have?
You have 4 specific children. 3 of them are very young. They are able to communicate telepathically. The one that can communicate, this being is 5 years, and this being has the maturity or communication ability of most humans who are in the teenage years.
Does the 5-year-old have a name, and is it a boy or a girl?
It is a girl. Her name is Leishay, and she's very interactive with you, especially in dream states.
Will I ever come face to face with Leishay?
So there is a possibility in this lifetime that you will have a chance to do that.
Am I a candidate for additional extraterrestrial hybrid children?
Yes, very much.
Are there any groups of beings that are supporting the Heart Coherence Collaborative's mission?
Many of the entities that are a part of you, the entity that you know as your wife, these energies are part of the expression of expanding the energy of your own collective form. You have hundreds of thousands of human consciousnesses supporting this energy.
Welcome, everybody, to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. Today is an amazing day because we have my good friend Rob Gauthier, a.k.a. the ET Whisperer, back in the house. What's up, Rob?
Oh, not much, Kyle. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Since our last interview, Rob and I have become good friends. And so today is going to be a very amazing conversation because last time I had Rob on, I never knew somebody who could invite in any entity. And I asked Rob, are there any entities that want to come through right now? And this entity named John L. From the Yahyel Society came through and told me that I had hybrid children, right? So that caught me completely off guard. I was not ready. I was so shocked. I probably, could have thrown up in that moment, but it was amazing, honestly. And I now want to go back and ask the questions that I didn't ask at that time to either Ardif Treb or John L. if he comes back through. And then we'll see if any other entities want to come through as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I've channeled for a long time, and I've channeled hybrids for a long time, and have a lot of understanding about the program. And I was told in 2015 that I had hybrid children, and I just kind of shut it down. I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't want to know more. So I've spent 10 years without knowing anything else about it. I have kids here on Earth, right? And they're pretty much my everything in my life. So for me, like, it's almost a bit heartbreaking that I have these children that I don't know, and that I could know, but I also really appreciate the fact that humans are doing the interaction with him right now. So it's amazing stuff. It's not for everybody, even someone who's immersed into it.
Yeah, it definitely expanded my mind. And now I'm ready to go in and figure out a little bit more about, this program, ask some questions about my specific child if possible. And, to me, I'm fascinated by it. So I love learning about this stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I've seen quite a few of your interviews with Chandler. So you've got a really good dynamic with understanding, ET contact and ETs and extra dimensionals in general. So it'll be whatever comes from this will be fascinating.
Awesome, man. I look forward to it. So if you want to get ready, we'll take a second, then we'll dive in.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Greetings to all. This is Ardif. That is ARIDIF. And this is its spell. We understand all of you desire to know more about the hybridization program and the content there within. But before diving in to those topics, there are 2 things that we wish to express. The first, above and beyond all things that we express in this day, to know, to feel, and to perceive that you are loved, and our perspective is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement, and within that same great excitement that we co-create with all of you in this day, we also wish to greet you, Kyle, as well.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So, as all of you understand, hybridization programs have occurred within Earth's population and the entirety of your history for a great deal of different co-creations between that which you deem extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional beings and with human genes. And the reason this occurs is multifaceted. But in your own understanding of history, there have been visitations for several millennia of your time experience, and through all of those co-creations with human beings, the DNA fundamentally of human beings was changed, that of a hominid being similarly related to those that now you perceive as Sasquatch in nature. But after the first genetic manipulation took place within the human genome, several other races came to co-create such an experience of shifting your DNA. And even within one race's alteration of the DNA, there were multiple iterations and time periods between changes of iterations where human consciousness and physicality through your DNA changed. So in that way, you are related to multitudes of different extraterrestrial races. There are 12 different DNAs inside of your genome outside of your normal Earth human DNA. And with your DNA being such multifaceted and multidimensional DNAs in nature, it gives the opportunity for other races to either utilize your DNA with their own similar DNA structures or simply to co-create in a hybridized scenario, such as what we are speaking of in this day. So outside of the normality, outside of the multitude of different hybridizations that have occurred, today we will specifically speak on that of the Grey hybridization program. Now, the beings that you understand and know as Grey are also multitudes of entities, and beings throughout the galaxy have that archetypal physical structure, meaning that there's not only one race of Grey beings. There are multiple races that have physical appearance and structures such as those that are Grey. Now, the beings who work specifically in this hybridization program with human beings and are Grey in nature are those that most humans know as Zeta Reticuli in nature. These beings are not from the universal structure as it is in this moment. They in fact exist on another dimensional plane or another variation of the universe, something that in our own terminology and verbiage would be expressed as a different and higher matrix. These beings were in fact originally from a more expanded version of Earth. And these beings created, through technology, many different facets of growth and expansion, but also were dealing with similar things that humans in this timeline and in this matrix deal with. For example, the population expanded and grew rapidly, and their technology did not always expand in the same accordance that their own population did. So they created a great deal of waste, and pollution was a great part of their experience, so much so that their DNA began to be altered through the experience of simple energy relating to their own ecology. And through that experience, the manipulations that did occur were that were harmful. Now, many of you as humans in this timeline still perceive very similar threads throughout your own history in understanding the chemicals that are utilized in medications, the chemicals that are used as pesticides environmentally, damage certain parts of your own body, damage the mitochondrial portion of the DNA, and they too went through this experience. So their answer to that expression was simply to work with technology and change their own DNA to adapt to the higher levels of pollution and chemical processes involved. And by doing so, they were successfully able to stay off many diseases Now, as they grow and expand from that level, very soon wars, fighting, and internal strife upon their version of Earth continue. And they figured that within their own ability to change DNA, perhaps all that would be required is to remove the emotional context from the human brain, and doing so at a DNA level assured that every generation afterwards would not be deeply emotionally invested in their experience, would only work in the logic aspect of their consciousness, and to them this was a great idea. And so they changed their own DNA, removing a great deal of emotions after several generations. What was not expected by this race is that by shifting those portions of the DNA that came from their own planetary consciousness, that it also affected the ability for them to reproduce. Now, through that expression, this caused a great deal of alarm, generation after generation becoming smaller in size. Soon, sterility took hold to all of their population. Their inability to reproduce left them either on a path to extinction or to have to find a new solution. Now, of course, with the expansion of their knowledge, with the understanding of the physicality and the DNA, they were able to expand their lifetimes exponentially, living over 2,000 years in time. But at the very end, where many of the beings that existed there started to become old and no new generations, they became quite desperate to find a way to keep their race alive. Now, understanding within this matrix, there too is another expression that exists in that matrix and is able to traverse through matrices, something that no race to knowledge at this time in our own galactical universal history exists, and these beings were known as Alpha Draconian reptilians. These beings are known and perceived as very malevolent types of reptilian beings, but they were the only ones who could take them to where they needed to go, to the matrices that exist in this universal construct, to their genetic relatives, which are humans who did not experience an altered timeline of their own DNA. That is all of you. Although it was altered through multiple iterations of co-creating with extra dimensions, their history coincided similarly, so their DNA was nearly exactly as yours. And with that exchange, they reached out to this race of beings. Now, of course, these are non-emotional versions of human consciousness, unable or unwilling to tap into the emotional context of their own spiritual bodies and physicality. So logically, it did not matter if they made a deal with beings who were perceived as warmongering or malevolent in nature. They asked for the draconian beings to help them into the matrices where all of us are existing in this moment, and in exchange they would share their knowledge with genetic manipulation. So, of course, these beings that were draconian already had an investment into human beings upon Earth through their own children, the Earth reptilian beings, through humans, which were a bastardized version of their children with small pieces of both Earth reptilian and draconian implanted into these humanoid species that they had never authorized or given permission. So yes, they allowed the co-creation of that energy and brought them to this universal construct. And in exchange for them bringing forward, they assist with monitoring human beings and not allowing certain beings to come into the Earth atmosphere without permission. So for all intents and purposes, these great beings have been seen by many humans as the workers of that malevolent beings. But remember, they are not emotionally attached, they are logically inclined. To them, it was a pure necessity in order to enter a place in where they could
exchange their own work for the survival of their race, and they started very quickly working with monitoring human beings, taking certain genetics from those that were highly psychic or intuitive, who had family genealogy, who were naturally inclined to be more etherical than that of physical. You have human beings who are very tied to the earth. The consciousness is very earthly, and other beings who enter the Pleiadian or Syrian aspects of their DNA and work more in etherical realms. So they targeted those who have a naturally open psychic ability. And generation after generation, they would take DNA and work to create a hybrid version of being. The very first race was that of the Sasani. That which you know as Bashar came from the very first wave of that of hybrid grey beings. Then those beings that were Sasani were more connected to emotion than their parents. They were more inclined to understand human behavior, as it was very foreign to the other version of humans that were grey. And so they started assisting in hybridization in the second wave. That which is known as the Yahyel came into fruition. They were even closer than that of the Sasani beings and took on more human attributes, both in the appearance and looking more human than grey, but also emotionally more connected in the same way that humans. Multiple waves continued until that of the most recent, which were that of the Yahyel, and their children, for lack of better terms, the Gauthier, which are the newest form of hybrid race. And of course, the end goal for most of the hybrids is to reunite with humans, to work in contact with humans, to work as a co-creative energy and implement their own physicality upon Earth for greater and longer terms of co-creation. Now we understand this holds a piece of duality, knowing that these children come from human DNA and that of grey and grey hybridized DNA. Many humans are uncomfortable with the thought of extraterrestrials implementing their own physicality upon Earth. But of course, the energy of harmony between their cells and humans is felt deeply in the later generations of the hybrids themselves. The beings are so drastically different from those that are grey in nature, even more different than that of Sasani in nature, and desire to co-create with humans more. They desire that co-creation with the understanding and knowing that it cannot occur unless humans are also excited to open up that energy. Now we understand humans in this moment are rarely able to get along with one another in this timeline of your experience, but the energy of co-creation for them is open to the collective being open to them. And that means that once they understand and know that humans are ready for that co-creation, this is when their part of open contact is expressed. And with the Yahyel and Gauthier, these two races are within the highest probability of first races to communicate with humans. The Yahyel look very human, the Gauthier nearly identical to humans, with exceptions of larger eyes. And these beings would be comfortable enough for most humans to be open because of their physical appearance, because of their DNA, because of their own deeper and greater understanding of the human collective consciousness. And of course, we will take your queries at your leisure.
Thank you. I wanted to check to see if you could connect with John L. today, if he's available.
Yes, of course. One moment, we will connect you. It's very nice to speak with you again.
How have you been?
I am well, my friend. I am happy to be here.
Many people believe that the Yahyel will be the first ET species to make open contact. Is that moment already underway behind the scenes?
In ways, yes. The communication's been there for many years now, almost 100 years of psychically communicating with our parents, and we integrated into this experience of communicating and working towards that contact, but it is a process. So the process has been underway even before our version of hybrid race came to be. The very first time that these beings started working with humans, and DNA, our greatest parental race, you call them grays, that was the very first step towards communicating contact with each other. And since then, it's only gotten better. More humans have been able to communicate telepathically. So, yes, it's in the works and is continuing.
Great. Who exactly are the Yahyel? Are they our future selves, hybrid descendants, or an entirely new civilization born from our evolution?
All of those things. And I know that this becomes hard for the human mind to comprehend. But in the families of souls that exist, all of us are the same souls. We're connected in these oversouls as family. And when you have that connection, that means the version of you that you're playing in this life, when you're done with that life, you can come into another version and play. And you can come into another experience and play as a friend, as an enemy of your last version, or whatever you want to do. And this means that all of us are deeply connected and future and past versions of each other. But genetically, we're our own civilization and our own race, but we're also children of you. And we're also children of the gray beings, and we're also children of Sasani and Playel. So we have many hats that we wear, but energetically, we're all connected.
Okay, great. When humanity finally meets the Yahyel face to face, what will we recognize in them that we already see in ourselves?
Many humans will first have to overcome fear. Humans in history have had bad things happen with other ET races, and it stays in the genetic coding. Fortunately for us, when we're born into our bodies, we're born into a higher dimensional body, and the fear has been gone. It's been removed from the work of our parents. So it's not deep in us, but for you, it still is very deep. The first contact will come with having to release fear, but it's also part of contact, the mirroring effect that we give to you will be a spectrum of all of your emotions, the good ones, the bad ones, the fears, and then it will be followed by love and understanding. And every human will have a different reaction, but eventually humans learn in a very different way than we do. You learn through experience. So there will be a level of building our trust together and us showing you what our intentions are. And with that mirroring effect, humans who have an open heart will be ready for that quickly. Humans who have more difficult problems with resisting the nature of their love, it will be a longer process.
Okay. What phase of the hybridization program are we currently in?
The phase is at its end. The next generation of hybrids will be hybrids that are born on Earth. And the Yahyel and Gayel are the two last versions needed. So the genetics are close enough with both of us when we enter that dimensional state, when we're invited to be with humans on Earth, then we'll be able to live among you, even reproduce with you. Genetics are that close, so the next race of hybrids would be the ones born on Earth.
And do we know when that will happen?
It's this is the process. This is the working process. Many humans are ready now, and this is more humans than have been ready now than in your history of time. Before, when humans were being changed more frequently, they were used to extraterrestrial beings or extra dimensional beings, and having visitors come from outside of your planet is a normal thing to them. But now it's not. There was a prevention from many of us coming physically, a quarantine of types, and this created room for humans to be able to grow with themselves because the outside interferences affected humans deeply. And there was agreements with many of the races not to visit Earth any longer. The only beings who had exceptions to that were our original parents, the gray beings. And they did because they also had to monitor human beings and to work towards creating hybrid beings. So this was the only contact many humans have had, but it's a very small number of humans. The aspect of how quick it's grown, I believe there is a possibility of even within 1.5 year of time or 2 years of time, but on the further range, it could be 15 or 20 or 30 years, just depending on how well humans deal with the more human things right now, the politics and systems of how humans work with each other. You see it shifting very much now, but it's going to continue to shift until humans are more comfortable, where entire countries are able to be at peace with each other. And it seems such a slow path for so many of the humans that we've felt and communicated with. But the path is expanding so quickly right now. It still could be within a year and a half or 2 years of time.
Thank you. How many hybrid civilizations exist right now? You said two, is that correct?
No, the Sasani beings are the first. Playel, Yahyel, and Gahyel, these are just the gray hybrid beings. Humans have very interesting DNA, so there are reptilian and human hybrids. There are aquatic and human hybrids. There are humanoid and human hybrids. So there are hundreds of different human hybrid races, but most of them won't communicate with you. They only use the DNA to create a different pathway for souls to choose to be physical and to live in physical bodies. So many of the races that use DNA from humans, they don't continue their relationship with humans like we have.
Gotcha. And so, what humans are chosen to be a part of the program?
It's very specific towards the human beings who have a few different aspects to themselves. The one, the Denebian being, Aradev, was so kind to share his insight. He was correct. Many humans who have psychic abilities or who have natural pathways of psychic energies that are open from genetics, these beings are the first requirement to have that in the family lineage. The second are humans who are open for possibility of bigger things to happen. Some humans are very invested in only their earth life, and they are much less likely to be chosen to have hybridization happen. But the most important part is the soul agreement aspect of it. You didn't stand in a room and say, yes, I want to do this, but the part of your higher self that knows whether you can handle that experience or whether you would want to participate with that experience, that part of your soul has to say yes, and it did. And that's why the humans who have children who are hybridized, that's why they're chosen eventually.
That makes sense. How do these hybrid children experience their human parents? Like, for example, last time we talked, you told me that I have a hybrid child. Do I have one hybrid child or multiple? And how do I experience them?
There are multiple, but only one is at an age of connecting. So the way that we would connect with our human counterparts is mostly through dream state communication, or when you're sleeping. What's actually happening to you is that you're leaving your physical body and you're spreading your soul consciousness into the higher parts of your soul. So you're actually experiencing your higher dimensional consciousness when you're sleeping. And when that happens, then you're in the right dimension of focus for your consciousness to be able to communicate with us. And during that time, this is where we do most of our communication with family. Most family don't remember, or some do, but they only recall speaking to a strange child or a strange being, but never remember what's talked about in the conversation or what's led to through this communication. This is the first way, and the more common way for our family and human counterparts to connect with us. Other ways are telepathically. Many humans have opened their consciousness and have abilities to either hear telepathy directly or hear it through intuitive states or intuition. And this is a feeling like you know what you're experiencing, or you feel that you have a connection to a star family or friends that are in other dimensions. The third way is a monitoring, and this is where children to their parents or other counterparts of the human consciousness, they just observe, and they do that with the help of your higher self. Because this higher self is the part that agrees, it also gives us access to the parts of your life that they know that you would agree to on some level, and experience your life through that way. Your higher self shows us memories or experiences, and these are the most common ways. There are different ways. A direct channeling communication with telepathy happens, but it's also a very rare thing. But there's also deep meditation connections where visions happen. So there's many different ways that it happens, but these are most present now.
Do you know how many children specifically I have?
Yes, you have 4 specific children. 3 of them are very young. They're able to communicate telepathically. But also, I want you to try to wrap your head around this, that when you have a child who's in a dimension that's different, there's existing versions of them that are older than you right now. But because you're still new to this and you're just finding this experience, the focused version in your reality are at the very youngest stages. The one that can communicate, this being is 5 years presently in age, and this being has the maturity or communication ability of most humans who are in the teenage years. And this being has been the closest with you and most focused with your reality now. The more things that you become excited about, the more things that you learn about, the versions of the children will also shift. And the experience for you will either become more expanded or more withdrawn depending on how you react with your experiences.
That's beautiful. Does the 5-year-old have a name, and is it a boy or a girl?
Yes, it is a girl. And with Yahyel and Gael, we all have names, and not because we need an identification. It's because we know that humans need a name to call us or an identification. And the being that's your daughter, that's 5 years old, her name is Leishe, and she's very interactive with you, especially in dream states.
Nice. And now, how many other human parents are also the father and mother of Lachey?
This specific being has 4 other human parents and 4 other counterparts that are human. And that means that the souls are also connected through that. And the energy of the parent who was Yahyel, there's still a direct connection, and time is spent with that parent also.
Is there intention, like, will I ever come face to face with Lachey?
It is possible, depending on the level of your openness, excitedness, acceptance, but also with physical interaction with humans. When open contact with human beings and us start, it has to be a slower process. So there is a possibility in this lifetime that you will have a chance to do that. But in your dream state, you can do it tonight. If you focus and work on that, or in meditation, you can also do that. So you don't have to wait to give them the physical hug to meet them, but we know the physical experience is additionally rewarding, especially for humans who live so deeply in their bodies.
Are there any ways, well, first of all, thank you. This is amazing. Are there any ways that my 4 children are trying to reach me in my awakened state?
There's always times where they reach out for you, and most of the time, 2/3 of the time when they do, you're during an awakened state. Sometimes this just feels like a burst of joy, or a burst of excitement or curiosity, or sometimes when you're daydreaming or looking at the sky, there comes this feeling of we're trying to find the word that best associates. It's a daydreaming, but beyond a daydream. It's a very mythical feeling that you have, a mystical feeling. And that feeling when you're exploring yourself, sometimes this is a byproduct of their connection to you.
Am I a candidate for additional extraterrestrial hybrid children?
Yes, very much. Yes.
That's great. What role do I play in the greater Yahyel mission?
The experience of your genetics is the most beneficial to the program, but for a part of the Yahyel and experiencing a connection to them, it can be as much or as little as you want. Just by sharing your experiences with other humans or trying to connect more to us, the energy becomes more potent in the greater program, and the deeper level of excitement and joy that you feel, the more easy it is to tap into us. We live inside of our heart chakra, and humans are working to get to that. Most humans live in their solar plexus chakra energy, and now you're trying to enter the heart. So working more towards that gives you more access. But for the greater role, it's always up to you. In human life, there is a perspective that there's either a free will or there is destiny, but there are both. And you have a soul mission, you have a guidance internally that makes you act towards certain things, but in the end, it's always a decision. It's always something you must do or not do. And the more you choose to do, with integrating and connecting, the more likely that role begins to be larger and bigger.
This is awesome. Now, could you help me understand if, say, my child is 4 years old, how would that child then be born into this, dimension, physical reality, 3D world?
Yes, the energy of the higher dimensions often are not as separate from the dimension that you're in very much at all. The physical part of that is, but the physical bodies in a higher dimension, they're much less restricted than the bodies in the lower dimensions. So many beings that have been we're trying to find the measurement this human would use, a fifth or sixth density. These beings are sixth or seventh dimensional. These beings are very much less physical than you are. We're only slightly less physical than you are. But these beings separate parts of their consciousness and create a physical body. So for us, we can do the same, but we have to focus most of our consciousness there. When humans are open to the idea and there is an agreement for us to come there, we would give up the higher dimensional body to incarnate physically there. And the beings that live the life that exists now would just simply be there and be a part of the physical place. And the beings who have yet to be born would just become a part of the cycle of reincarnating on Earth, and then would have genetics from their parents, just like human babies are born on Earth right now. So it's not as hard as it seems, but it is a very technical way to try to think about it.
Thank you. Now, did I hear you correctly that there aren't currently any incarnations of hybrid babies that exist in the 3D right now?
There are some, but not from our race. There are some from other aspects of hybridizing with humanoids that were born to Earth, and some genetics that were changed to humans who were pregnant. But these are unethical from our perspective. We wouldn't want to interfere at that level with the physical aspects of humans. So all of the hybrids that are on Earth right now, which are very few, humans who know about hybridization estimate millions, but there are less than a handful of thousands.
Wow. Is there any message that my hybrid children want me to know?
Yes, there's a message from all of the Yahyel and the Yahyel, which is that we can't wait to be with our human family. But specifically, there is a message that wants to be sent to you. And it's simply the joy that you feel when you think about having a child that's from the hybrid program, the joy that you feel, even if it's met with discomfort, is felt in the heart of all your children. They feel that joy, even accompanying discomfort or reservations or fears. The heart and joy is felt so deeply. And this is how we all communicate with our human counterparts and with our human family. We connect with a sense of love and a sense of joy. And all things that we create and communicate come from that joy.
Oh, this is amazing. Is there any final message you want to share with anybody listening about the Yahyel or anything in particular that you want to share?
Yes, there was an idea spoken by this Denevian being, the Ardif being, who brought us together for this communication. Humans that have reservations, We don't want humans to release their reservations. We don't want humans to remove their skeptical nature. It's important. It's an important part of you as human beings, but it's also a part of your spiritual growth to learn and discern through your own energy systems and your own energy bodies. And when you have the ability to go through your mind and your heart and then accept or not accept, that's what helps you grow as an individual. So we ask no one to give away their reservation. Although I know many of us would be overjoyed to have humans welcome us that way, we want you to be within all of your comfort before that welcoming phase happens.
That's awesome. I was at my basketball game the other day. I play in a basketball league with some of my high school buddies, and my friends who aren't really, that big into this realm, or maybe they are, but they saw this on YouTube, that I have hybrid children, and it was cool to hear them talk to me about it. Shout out to Brett and OG. But it was interesting to just hear that this sort of conversation is actually spreading in places it might not normally spread, even if it's kind of weird. It was really kind of cool too, and I am excited about it, and I do think it's all very fascinating.
I know that your heart is there with joy, and I also know humans are becoming more accustomed to the things that they felt they understood, and now are open to understanding new understandings of that. And it's happening at a faster rate now than it has ever happened in your modern human time. So this is a very exciting time for all of us.
Thank you so much, Jono. It was great connecting with you again.
It was wonderful to connect again, my friend.
Thank you.
We are back without hesitation, nor delay yet again, Mrs. Ardiff. Do you have any remaining queries before we disconnect?
Yeah, Art, one is just, is there any other being that would want to come through right now and share any message at all for me or the Heart Coherence Collaborative specifically?
Yes, one moment we will connect you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I am the entity that the host would call Treb, and I've been with the host for many years, connecting with his consciousness, and I am the first one that he was able to work with in a channeled communication variety. I only wanted to come to share one idea with all of you, that as you are growing and expanding as a part of your human consciousness, there is a disregarding of how important it is to use that part of yourself that knows what you understand and knows what you connect to. And what we mean by this is that many humans have disassociated versions of their own thought process in order to implement the idea or energy from another entity or being. And we understand that as existing in higher dimensional energy, we have a great deal of insight and wisdom that is not afforded to the human consciousness at this time. We, in a part of our own evolution, have existed and experienced being in a human physical experience as through channeling through this host. We have experience connecting with other beings and being channeled through their physical bodies. But more than this, we have experienced a length of time incarnating in our own bodies and systems. So yes, our wisdom is greater than that of the average human being. Yes, our insight may be more deep or more understanding in the way of consciousness and how the mechanic nature of consciousness works. But humans often see this and then disassociate their own ability to understand and know. So we always find it very important to share that when you have connection to your higher self, when you have an understanding of your own intuition, your own consciousness and heart, the heart is what helps guide you to your own version of reality, to your own version of truth. And when you are connected to your heart and your heart is connected to the higher self, this is the most powerful wisdom that one can receive. When you are connected to your higher self, it knows you better than any of our consciousness can know you, or even guides that you may have, or entities that you may have that give you available wisdom. And the higher self knows you better than any other entity can, because it is you. It is a part of you. It is an expansion of you. So in that way, we say that when you are working with your higher self, it has all of the wisdom that you need, and it knows better for you than any being that exists in the universe, even the most longest living and wisest entity that exists. Your higher self has those answers for you. So we always wish to share this with humans and help them understand how important it is to know your heart and to know your higher self. And when you know that heart and know your higher self, you have the opportunity to be much more wise about you and your life than anything that we could share as well.
Thank you so much. Are there any specific groups of beings that are supporting the Heart Coherence Collaborative's mission?
Yes, many of the entities that are a part of you and the entity that you know as your wife, these energies are part of the expression of expanding the energy of your own collective form, the heart. Coherence, collaboration, and collective consciousness is a collective of its own. The humans that are part of it, the humans that support this, them and their own guides. So in that way, you have hundreds of thousands of human consciousnesses supporting this energy, and they all have dozens or hundreds of entities that are their guides. But specifically with you and your partner and your guides, there are multiple dozens of entities that are involved, and within their race there are co-creations with others. So you have Syrian and Pleiadian, Andromedan, Arcturian energies that are supporting that experience and the collective mission. You also have many human relatives and ancestors, that which come from your genetics and that also that come from your soul in soul family. So there are quite literally hundreds of thousands of entities at any given moment that share their wisdom, their energy, their insight, and their excitement with you as well.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like me to know?
Yes, that we love you very much and we are very excited to be here and connect with your energy and your own understanding as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. This has been very fascinating, and I really, really appreciate your time.
Yes, you are very welcome. And we will leave you this day in love and in light, and we will connect or communicate or energetically be a part of each other's experience again very much as well.
Thank you.
Yes, good night. How'd it go?
That one amazing. That was, you don't remember any of it? No. Yeah, it was fascinating. Yeah.
I'm very excited to watch the playback and hear about that too.
Yeah. We got a whole rundown on the entire whole hybrid program. I asked John L about the Yahyel extensively, so got more information than I could have ever imagined. So it was fascinating.
So
Yeah,
you
man.
were able to connect with that being John L.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I went back with John L. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. And then he connected me, told me I have a daughter, told me I have 4 kids. That was just so mind blowing.
That is amazing.
And
I can't wait to hear it.
And that more are probably coming.
You're gonna have soccer teams.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
hybrids.
But I really, it's kind of, people say it's weird or like, they talk about it being uncomfortable for some people. I haven't felt any of that. And I should be careful because then they're going to be like, all right, we're going to give them more kids. But up until this point, I have not felt any discomfort from it. I've actually enjoyed the mystical kind of just, I guess, mind expansion that it's brought.
That's amazing. Yeah, for some reason I couldn't get comfortable with the idea. Like Trep told me I had an absurd amount, like 20 some
Wow.
hybrid kids, and I'm like, no, I don't
Wow.
want to know anymore. Trep,
Yeah, yeah.
let's
That's a
leave it at
lot.
that.
That's a
Yeah.
big family. Now, I would love to talk about you have a big event coming up with a
Mm.
lot of channels, and it's really exciting because a lot of people listening really enjoy channeling. So I'd love to just hear you talk about what goes on at that event and what can people expect.
Yeah, the channel panel is something I've been doing since 2014. Me and my ex-wife, we started it back in 2014 together, and it's grown and expanded. And this year, my dear friends John and Jason helped create the perfect event. We have multiple channelers in different areas of channeling come together over a 3 day period. And then they will go on stage and they will channel loosely around the theme of the event, or just whatever they're called to channel. And then they'll take question and answer from the audience. And then we have these workshops where people go and have a smaller group of people break off and only physically are able to be there with a channeler. Sometimes they teach workshops where they just teach such stuff like the first one I did, I think I just taught channeling. And then, but some people do channeling for their breakout too, while the channeling guide teaches them something. So it's a really unique thing. It's the only event in the world that only brings groups of channelers into a large conference. Like there are a lot of big conferences that have some channelers and some, maybe near death experience or something like that. But we're the only one that channels fully on channeling. This year in November, 14 through 16, we're going to be in Princeton, West Virginia. And it's actually, I know everyone thinks West Virginia is really remote, but we did a map on the website and it's like 3 hours from some massive cities and like 4 hours from Washington, D.C. So it's really not too far at all from a lot of really main street or main population hubs on the East Coast. Like I'm from Michigan, so I'm in the Midwest and it's only going to take me 10 hours to drive down there. So the idea is getting all these people together for the 3 days. We've got Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar, Wendy
Nice.
Kennedy.
He'll be channeling Bashar.
Yeah, he's channeling Bashar and also doing a workshop. Just Daryl's doing a workshop too. So Daryl will be there channeling Bashar. Wendy Kennedy's channeling the Pleiadians. Jamie Price is there channeling myself. We have my friend Tyler Ellison. We have Dolores Cannon's daughter, Julia Cannon. She's not going to be channeling, but she's going to be teaching about QHHT and how to connect with the higher self, which is really a lot like channeling. We have literally 15 presenters that are going to be there. All of them have done channeling for a career for a long time. They're all really good. They all channel around self-empowerment. We have some Akashic readers, like we have Lisa Wetzel and JJ Brighton, and we have just a bunch of really amazing, talented presenters. Georgia Jean, we have Sandrine Savigny, we have Roger Burnley, and Tyler Ellison's one of my good buddies who I go to Japan with all the time and who I am going to be working a lot with next year. Just a lot of really talented, amazing channelers. The Portal to Ascension guy, Neil Gar, he does a lot of spiritual events throughout the world for the last 15 years. He's going to be there to present on channeling. And just we have a bunch of great people. It's really going to be awesome. We're doing it in person for the 3 day thing. So like everyone, they get to see everyone on stage and participate in the Q&A. And then we're doing a live stream of just that part, but anyone who comes in person can also go to the workshops. I think Daryl Anka's workshop is on the theory of unified. So he takes Bashar's concepts and teaches you how to implement them. And last year he sold out so quickly we had to put him in the big hall.
Nice.
Yeah, which was great, but he's about sold out. Wendy Kennedy's is getting close to being sold out. So we do have some, we still have places available for that. So if you want to come online or in person, it would be great.
All right, so we're going to put the link below. And Rob, I want to invite you to come out to our new house here in Situate, Mass. Yeah, I told you, Leah and I just moved into this beautiful property in Situate, Mass. It's dreamlike. It sleeps 14, but we're going to be inviting healers to come in the spring. I've reached out to a bunch of healers, a bunch of the people that we've interviewed, and asked them if they'd come for a weekend and, let's just do like a giant think tank. So I'd love you to come to the property if you're free. And also, anybody listening, if you want to come to the property, where we're going to be inviting anybody from the Heart Coherence Collaborative to come just heal on the property, get one of the rooms for a day or a week or however, and just kind of spend time with our community. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'd love to come. Send me the details. And if that same weekend that you're talking about I have available, I'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah. Any final message on, I think, probably the hybrid program, man, because that's what this was all about. It was pretty mind expanding.
Like I said, I know a lot about it, and I know a lot of people who've been a part of it and who are consciously aware of their children, and some who even channel them or communicate with them. Yeah, it's definitely, it can be weird for people. I just would say if you ever have an interest in hybrid children or an understanding about, there's a good chance that you have a connection yourself. And there's always good techniques that you can have to kind of connect with your children. I think Treb is the one who shared, maybe it was Art, if I can't remember, but one of them was saying that basically if you like do a grounding technique where you visualize yourself connecting down like to the earth, like 33 feet deep, and then you bring up, or no, you breathe in white energy and kind of push all the chakra energy out your legs, and then bring up golden yellow energy and just kind of use that as a grounding technique. Then after you do that, you can kind of visualize just sending out a signal in all directions to your children. And then after you send out that signal and visualize yourself sending out that wave of intention, then just wait back and you might get a sensation in your body, you might get a visualization, you might get a full-blown, communication. But that's a really good technique to kind of get your own feelers out there about your own hybrid children.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate how you watch these back, because last time there was so much information, it was hard for me to even comprehend, but you kind of broke it down for me and helped me understand it. So if you could give me the play-by-play on this one as well, it was awesome.
I will definitely do that, brother, anytime.
All right, man. I look forward to hanging out with you in the real world soon. And thanks again for coming on. And bye, everybody.